stream?
No.
Okay, cool.
Geoff,
Yes, sir.
I feel like actually I can never pronounce your name right.
Okay.
Tell me.
It is Geoff.
Jeff. Because I read it like as like Geoff, and then
Yeah.
I say Jeff.
Yes.
Jeff. You're one of my favorite persons. I have to say I'm very excited to cross your ocean.
Thank you,
Like
sir.
we have known each other for a while. We met like a while ago in Los Angeles.
That's
right. We had people we worked together with.
Yep.
We share like a lot of things in common. Very excited today. London International Awards 2022. How does it feel to be here in Las Vegas?
It feels good. It feels good. The last time I was in Las Vegas was years ago.
Okay.
And Simone, I got to tell you, I'm a different human now. So I'm not on the strips. I'm not. Move these poker chips. Yes, just get them away from me because I start sweating when I get close to gambling tables and poker chips. But no, it's nice. The coming out for LIAs.
Right.
Honestly, it's been like an amazing reunion. Just seeing friends of mine from Chicago and from
awesome.
New York and other places. So. Yeah, I'm glad to be here.
That's great, man. So let's start with the first question. These are like called the 7 C's interview. I'll go from the first to the 7th question.
You got it.
And I'm gonna like ride your ocean, okay?
Let's do it. Ride my
first
ocean.
one. If you Google the question, why is the ocean salty? You're gonna get something like 34 millions results. It's one of the most common questions out there, actually. Not sure if it happens to you, but whenever I say to people who don't work in advertising that I work in advertising, the question of follow is like, why is advertising so bad? Now, at that point, my ego take a blow, and I don't know how to answer, and like I try to give them an explanation, but does it happen to you? And if it happens to you, what is your favorite answer right there?
That's amazing. I actually don't think that the business of advertising is bad. What I think is bad is the people that have been tasked with managing advertising. So it feels like, if you look at music as an example, they've grown, they've gentrified. There are a lot more people of color involved in the music industry, as well as gender equality in the music industry. Same with entertainment, and the list goes on and on. For some reason, we're stuck in an antiquated model. We want different storytelling, we want different results, but we're doing it with the same cast. So it's almost like if you want the story to be different, you have to change the authors. So I feel like we're at a transitional place right now in marketing where we need to evolve.
This is very smart, what you just say about the cast. I feel like we're trying to almost like make a movie for the future, a science fiction movie, but the cast is from the 1950s. It's like they're all there. I think now you brought up like a great point, because just a couple of days ago I was thinking that's like, even art director, copywriter working together. It was a model that was brought up by Ogilvy. Am I right? It was
That's
Ogilvy or
correct.
Bernbach? I don't remember.
Bill
now.
Bernbach.
Bill Bernbach. Okay, yeah, Bill Bernbach. He brought up this model, and we're talking about years and years and years ago, and we're still working off that model somehow. But we want to be futuristic and innovative. So it seems like we are casting from a pool of 1950 talent.
That's
Love
it.
that.
Well, think about it, like Prince and Revolution, Prince and a new power generation, Prince. You know what I mean? Like the time, all these other groups that kind of came from it, but it all had one foundational element, which was just Prince.
Right.
And all of those different groups created a different style of music, and that's innovation.
Right.
So you can expect to innovate if the recipe that what we're using is the same thing that's been used since the 1960s. Advertising is 150 years old, and it feels like it's 150 years old.
Very well articulated. Next time someone's going to ask me this question, I'm going to say, you should talk to Jeff. Second question, man. So you have been sailing the industry for a while. I mean, we had a lot of great mentors in common, and generally when you don't have enough momentum in our industry, you face some sort of stall. You can only try to install yourself in a certain kind of way. Now, I do believe that is one of the hardest things to do from a creative perspective, also from a creative point of view, to install yourself. You got momentum at the beginning of your career, and then sometimes happen, and I think honestly happened to everybody that I know. you get stalled. And then like, and then to pick up momentum again, you had to work really hard. You had to get creative there. Has it ever happened to you? And if it did, like, what kind of secret do you use to pick up momentum again?
That's an excellent question. It has happened. I'd actually say not just once, but maybe a couple times in my career. One of them, it was a little bit bittersweet because I started my own agency in 2009 called Dojo.
I remember perfectly.
Yeah, and I was like, that was in San Francisco, and it was my way of answering the question of what does it mean when traditional and digital come together?
Right.
So my partner Maro Alankar had a digital background.
Right.
Mine was obviously traditional storytelling, and we got together and we ran the agency for 6 years. And that was a bit of a stall, I say, because around that time we had just done the Halo work for Xbox, and I was getting offers from all over the place. And I kind of parlayed that into what would happen if I actually had my name on the door. Like I could create the agency that would answer the questions that the industry had.
Right.
But in doing that, it was the hardest thing that I ever did. And the reason why I say it was a stall is because I went toward being an owner versus doing what I do best, which is just brand storytelling and innovation.
Right.
So that was
That's a different game.
That was the sour part. Now the sweet part is how do you unblock yourself is a great question. I live in Los Angeles, and I know you have a motorcycle, and it's awesome.
I do, yeah.
And for me, a simple walk along the PCH is something that I do every day. It's my motivation.
Yeah. You do know that to say a simple walk in Los Angeles is like to say a pizza on the moon, right? Who fucking walk in Los Angeles?
But I said on the PCH, like by the ocean, and it sounds so hippy dippy, but the ocean air, clarity of thought, no mobile device, just listening to the sound of your footsteps and your heartbeat. Yeah. And that is something that has been cathartic to me, and I do it every day, and I have my best ideas when I'm out on my walk.
That's great, man. That's great. Third question. Sailors develop an extreme relationship with the ocean. I almost think that you give me the perfect segue here. After a career in the Navy, they end up either like hating the sea or loving the sea. My grandfather was actually a sailor, and unfortunately, he became a sailor during the Second World War. So after the war ended, he got hospitalized with half lungs left, and of course, he ended up hating the sea. Right. But they developed this hate and love relationship with the ocean. You have been in advertising for a long time. You have collected like probably all the best accolades. Recently, you became like 40 over 40. Great accomplishments. So you definitely are a sailor in the industry. Now, do you think that you will be always in love with advertising, or at one point you will develop like a hate relationship with the business?
That's a great. I love these questions.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
I'm going to spin it a little bit.
Right.
It's not that I dislike advertising. I despise it. And when I say I despise it, and that's why I'm in it. Because I think that it can be better. And I think that there are ways that we can innovate around advertising. I think the composition of what a creative department looks like should be audited and changed. I think the idea of taking some agencies and pairing them with other agencies that are unlike and then calling that a solution to a business problem is something that we just need to stop. I think we need to lean into tech. I think we need to lean into innovation. I think that there's no reason why we shouldn't be able to get the most creative people in the world into our industry to help us solve client problems.
But do you think that
we're not there.
Do you think that these are all like possible fights, or do you think that's are like David and Goliath, like way too big for us, way too big to take, because as you can see, it's like we kind of improve and progress, but very, very slow.
Yes.
And I almost feel like, the ad industry is the giant elephant or dinosaur that took pivots. It takes like years and years. And maybe when it does, it's even too late because you should have pivoted the other way.
Right. Well, here's an answer that I would give to that is you're married, so you can relate to this.
Yeah.
I was given advice before I got married by my uncle, and he said, when you're getting married, you're marrying the person you fell in love with. You're not marrying somebody and then trying to change that person.
That's a great.
So
That's great.
So with advertising, I think we've decided, we put a ring on a finger. We've decided to get married to advertising. In my case, for 25 years, and I can live within what advertising is. But if I really, really want to change advertising, I would leave it and I would go and I would find something else.
Love the quotes, and I can like reboot with another quote from in Italy. We say, "You think you're married your girlfriend, but you're married your wife."
That's good. That's good. I'm not going to ever, Marie, if you're watching, Simone never said that.
Okay, good, man. Fourth question.
Yes.
I do not know what may happen to the world, but to myself, I seem to have been only like a boy playing on the seashore, diverting myself in and out, finding a smoother pebble, or like, just like playing along the ocean. I mean, when I read these words, something resurfaces like inside me, like, and what I think is like, I think of me back in Rome and like, when it all began. And sometimes what I ask myself is like, what's left of that kid inside me today? So I know you were raised and born in Detroit. You live in Los Angeles, and
right.
I do believe your beginning in the industry must have been like fascinating. But what's left of Geoff Kidd in 2022?
He's gone, completely eliminated, wiped off the face of the earth, off the ocean. No,
oh man, I would have loved like just like to continue that way.
I'm partially joking, and I'm not. The kid entered advertising right out of college, and believed that he could create something that the world had never seen before. I got into the industry because I wanted to make people feel like the things that I'd seen that the industry had produced, and feel that way. The great work of Lee Clow, work of Dan Wyden, Bob Greenberg. The list goes on and on of people that I saw and admired. Linda Kaplan. The list goes on. But that in that sandbox on those shores playing has now translated into watching others play and helping them to do the best work that they can do. Is kind of my role now. Do I get my hands in it? Of course I do. But I see my role now more as thought leadership and guidance,
right?
And helping clients do the best work.
But did you everything from that kid, like the spontaneity, like to be naive, to be like without filter?
Oh, I love
do you
that.
think that's a kind of like carry over, or it got lost along the way? Because I think, like, look, let's face the truth. I think that you can't go into and I want to say this to the young generation. We gotta be fair to ourselves. We gotta like even to be honest to ourselves. You can't go without filter in this business.
Agree.
There is no way. You go without filter, you're gonna pay for it.
Agree.
You be completely transparent, spontaneous, you're gonna pay for it.
Agree.
So that kid is gonna get hammered. They're gonna get swamped. They're gonna get like calling storm. And I do want to save him. I do want to like I look back and I say like there is. I want to maintain something from that kid, but some days it's very hard to do it.
Okay, I have an answer. The kid goes to work, and work gets to see the adult.
Okay.
It's almost like if you walk through the threshold of a door and a transformation happens from a 6 or 7 year old kid to an adult. And that adult has been given tools for 25 years on how to do great work, how to mentor and do all the things that we have to do every day. When the kid comes back through that door threshold, I get to do what I love to do. So I don't know if you even know this, but I paint. So I'm able to scratch the itch of just fine art, writing.
Right.
Making things like that's the kid.
That's the kid.
But to be really, really clear about it, I think that there are some things that carry through that door, but for the most part, playtime happens outside of work. Work is work.
Right, that's clear. Fifth question, man. Here's a fact that sounds grossly impossible, but it's not that far-fetched. The world ocean could be virtually empty for fish by 2048. By 2048, like, we could be without fish anywhere in the ocean. A study shows that if nothing changes, we will run out of seafood by that date.
Okay.
Now, if we want to preserve the ecosystem of the sea, change is needed. We talk about this. I think you've been like extremely like well articulated about like, you know, the problem that we face in advertising. But do you think that we might face an extinguishing extinct date, if we don't change in the next like, you know, 5-10 years? And what would that be? What would that cause that gonna make like advertising obsolete?
We're there now.
Yeah.
We're there now. We don't have to wait 5 or 10 years. The structure in the world and the what advertising has evolved into or hasn't.
Right.
We're there now. And when I say that, I mean, you know, Simone, if I were graduating, I went to Pratt in Brooklyn, and if I were graduating today into whatever I was going to do next, I'm not so sure that I would be in advertising, and I'll tell you why. Why wouldn't I just go, you know, rent a space in a WeWork? Why wouldn't I just go into my garage, order some pizza, get some fresh coffee going, and come up with an algorithm for the next social media platform? Why wouldn't I come up with an app? Why wouldn't I do something that was additive to the world that technology needs? Versus sit down and read some brief that I didn't write, that I had no, point of view on.
Of course.
And come up with something for a client that really doesn't want great work.
Right.
It doesn't make any sense.
Right.
And so I find myself now when I'm trying to find talent, because let's be honest, we are our talent.
Yeah.
And it's a talent business. It's almost like sports. The companies that have the best talent are the best companies.
Absolutely.
I'm not sure that I would do it. So how do you compete in that environment? We get better. We create better things. We partner. You know, we do things more in social media. We try and see if we can at least extend a bridge out into things that we know that young people are interested in to get those people in the door. But right now, no way.
No way.
No, we got a ways to go.
I agree with you. I agree with you on that. Sixth question, man. I've been reading Bob Dylan chronicles, and like, you know, I keep coming back to Bob Dylan. It's one of my favorite, like, you know, singer and like a writer. Like, you know, I would say writer more than singer for me. Sometimes I read like his lyrics without listening to the music. But matter of fact, I have like It's a Right Ma tattoo like right here, right? It's
Amazing.
a Right Ma. That's like Bob Dylan song. But look, like there was a moment in Bob Dylan life where he was writing a couple of songs, and particularly one song, he couldn't just finish it.
Yeah.
And that day he say to the guy at the studio, look, I'm gonna go for a walk. And he happened to enter a movie theater and he watched like Homeboy. Homeboy is a movie with Mick Rourke and like, you know, and Christopher Walken. It's a freaking great movie.
Great
right?
movie.
And so Bob Dylan watched the movie and is like so inspired that like he left the movie theater and like in the span of a couple hours he finished the song. I was blown away by this because, like, you know, it actually happened to me. And I know Bob Dylan, but, like, you know, sometimes happened to me that I'm very stuck on something. I can't solve it. And then, like, you know, I diverge completely. I literally, like, nurture myself with something completely different, and then I get back to it and finish. Does it happen to you? And if you remember one particular episodes that you weren't able to complete, like, finish something, and then you did something else and you got back to it and you did it?
Absolutely. So you admire Bob Dylan.
Right.
I like the Beatles.
Of course.
I like Jimi Hendrix. I like George Clinton. And by the way, George Clinton is from my hometown of Detroit. Music gets me through it. Yeah. So it's really ironic, and this is just speaks to our relationship. But it's really interesting that your unblock is music because my unblock is music. Whether it's putting my AirPod Pros, listening to, you know, a latest track, that is kind of where I find my unblock. The other thing is just in culture. Like, I get away from anything that's advertising. Advertising doesn't inspire me. Yes, I'm here and we're judging the world's best work. Right. But for me to have that unblock, it's going to come from seeing art. It's going to come from my walks. It's going to come from listening to music. It's going to come from maybe an inspiring podcast. Right. It's going to come from poetry. That is where I find it.
What kind of poetry do you read?
Oh my gosh, Maya Angelou.
Yeah,
is my
I
favorite.
love her.
I love her. I had the pleasure. Things that this business
Did you have
allows.
the pleasure too?
I did. I was working on a Gatorade project, and I got to Wait for it. Ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Not only meet her, but I got to spend the afternoon at her home. She made lunch for me, and that conversation was, if you ever had a chance to speak to God, regardless of how you feel about religion, I felt like it was almost like going to church, spending time while she made grilled chicken and vegetables and rice.
Awesome.
And we sat down, we had a glass of Kendall Jackson, which is her favorite white wine. And I took a picture to commemorate it. It was one of the best afternoons of my life.
Oh man, what a memory.
Yeah.
I'm so jealous.
So reading poetry is one thing. Eating with the greatest poet in the world,
Of course.
game changer.
Oh, of course. Talking about memory, here's the last question. We're gonna ask this to all our London International Awards like presidents, and it's this, right? You've been here. When are you gonna fly back?
I'm going to try and get out this tonight.
Okay, tonight, I guess, like, you pack your stuff, check
Yes.
out, and, like, you know, and head to the airport. I'm going to ask you to pick up 2 memories.
Okay.
But I'm going to ask you to put these memories, one in your carry-on and one in your luggage. Which one goes where and why?
Oh, wow. You ended on a great question. And it is top of mind, my answer. In my carry-on luggage, in a nice, comfortable compartment where I know it's not going to get broken, are the 11 jurors that I was with. Unbelievable.
You love them.
Fantastic. I've been on juries before, but Simone, I have to tell you, the blend of everyone from executive at Disney and Helen to heads of other organizations to entrepreneurs. The blend of people in branded entertainment is one of the top 3 juries that I've ever been on, and they're kind. Like when we're having the conversations for medals. And I just gave a couple rules. I was just kind of like, okay, so let's just make sure we actively listen. Let's make sure that we are culturally aware. And lastly, let's just make sure we do the right thing for the category. And everyone is just kind of following that. So they go right in. Honestly, I don't even think I put it in the overhead bin. They go right by my feet.
That's awesome.
Right there. So I
That's
can keep my
awesome.
eye on them. That goes in the plane. Now, down in a cold compartment, in the bottom of the plane, under all the heavy things, so it's like literally in the coldest part of the plane, are all of the submissions that we received that were over an hour long. Like listen, I just got to say it, and I don't mean to be uninspiring, but if you want to be a filmmaker, go to Hollywood.
Right.
You know, if you want to make independent films and you don't understand the craft of them,
That's very
learn
useful.
the craft.
That's very useful.
Learn the craft and then come back in it. But my God, please spare your clients and yourself from creating something that needs an editor. Bottom of the luggage, bottom of the plane.
Bottom of the plane, and like, we all know that's like if you fly to Fiumicino, Italy, probably gonna get lost. So maybe like, why don't you instead of like fly to Fiumicino, so that gonna get lost.
That's right. Sorry, Mr. Edwards, but we lost your bag. It's okay. No. We'll find it. No. I'm good.
Hey man, thank you so much. You've
My
been
man.
awesome
My
to
man.
cross your ocean. Thank you,
Absolutely.
brother.
Thank you,
Thank you.
brother.
Thank you.
Absolute pleasure.
That was
Oh, thank you, man. It's good.
Good,
You wouldn't do
brother.
anything else? No other questions?